Hello and welcome to Imp's Adventures podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Help the network out by leaving us a 5-star review, give a donation directly through Red Circle, and become one of the amazing community by joining the Social Suplex Discord. A link is in the description. Read the Social Suplex newsletter. Shout out to Trish and Tim as always, and to every person who's contributed so far. Also check out the news page. Also check out the top 50 women's wrestlers. Also subscribe to Rich Latter's new channel, Rich Latter Pro Wrestling, which will be quite easy for everyone in the Discord to remember. He's put a link as well in his Discord channel for One Nation Radio. Listen to the other top-notch shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite, Wrestling Art with Chris Things, Trish and Sarah, Tunnel Talk, Sam Brown's AEW Match Guide, and Joshying Around. My name is Matt Maher, aka Imp, and this is your quick look back at the AEW week that was. 30 minutes of a man who doesn't know how well his voice is going to last for this. I do apologise. I saw Alter Bridge live, and my voice hasn't recovered. I can feel it. I think it sounds alright at the moment, but I can feel it, and this is minute 1. So a little bit of a concern, as I may have, at the top of my voice, been singing Metalingus, as the actual band who did the song was playing it. So my voice was completely gone yesterday, but it's come back quite strong today. So it sounds like my voice goes by the end of the recording. That's why. I had a lovely night. Very loud guitar metal music. It does not make good for a then vocal recording. However, we did have 2 shows, one from Arizona, one from Texas. Started off in El Paso for Dynamite, a show with limited commercial interruptions for a night of full title times. So anyway, let's not waste too much time. This is not going to be like the longest recording or the longest edit by the time it comes out. It's the week before Revolution. It's the calm before the storm. It's the good storytelling and the little build, because AEW is just on creative momentum right now. Just all those positive notes continuing to build, as this was the go home Collision as well. And a couple of interesting notes for Collision, as it was from Tucson, Arizona, who they've not had a like big company wrestling show for years. I thought I saw 2022, but that was like for a house show. They've not had a like broadcast show in about a decade. They are not a town that gets visited very often for professional wrestling. And hey, maybe you could tell given some of the chants that they did. But it sounds like everybody had a good time and stuff. And I really think it's a really good idea for someone like AEW to try and dip their toes into these markets which aren't taken by WWE. As in, why not just see if they will latch onto it, see if they like it. Anyway, talking about dipping toes into something we might like. Kevin Knight. How does everyone feel about Kevin Knight? I'm pretty all together on this one, I think, Tony. I don't think you need to tease us. Do we like Kevin Knight? I think it's pretty all together on this one. We started off Dynamite with the AEW Championship on the line. MJF defending against Kevin Knight. So let's play a sound clip. Let's jump over to this championship match which had its limited interruptions.
Kevin Knight, can he pull it off? A UFO splash, but this time MJF waiting with the knees. Knight attempted to roll the floor, but MJF, heat seeker. 1, 2, 3.
A wee Knight highlighting banger to elevate the man with more shine. He's set AEW on fire since he's arrived. Not just a stock line for a newish face. Gave the man his month of singles wins before saying that line. Because I'm aware there are some people who listen to this who don't watch, like never watch WWE. It's like a stock line they will say for, especially like a luchador or somebody who brought in, had momentum, and then just hasn't been featured for ages. Suddenly he's used again in an actual story of actual substance. And they'll say, he's been setting WWE on fire since his arrival. When really, he came in with momentum, did fuck all for the rest of the year because they had no ideas for him. Suddenly they need him for an actual important story for somebody else, so they have to hype him up as in, oh, he's got this title opportunity because he's been setting WWE on fire, so that's why he's got this. Like, no, they set him on fire, then he's got this. This crazy idea. If you know you're going to do the title match or you want to elevate him, why not give him some wins first and, light him up? Crazy idea to know you're going to do a thing, so you get him ready for that spot. But it has felt like a year from like minute 1. Like AEW gave you their mission statement at the start of the year with that road of what was called the SmackDown 6, which I kind of started referring to a bit more to myself as WWF in 2000. Got all of these dancing parts, got all of these people on the title road, and they've also told us they're going to put some stock into Jet Speed with Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, especially Kevin Knight. And so far they've stuck to the plan. MJF in full dickhead mode, treating Knight like a rookie kid who could learn a thing or two. He tried to get into the challenger's head with constant disrespect and that run the ropes for a dick to the face spot. More than one middle finger to the El Paso crowd too. Max worked over them ribs, allowing Kevin to go, me hurty tum-tum after every other move, especially after any splash or high-flying fun. Aside from the dive to the outside, that one just got an amped up, yeah! No, it didn't go, yeah, no, just went, yay, I'm amped and got back into the ring. It's like, that is a tum-tum hurt move. You can do it. You can go, my belly, that's alright. Excalibur pulled the word impetuousness out of his commentator thesaurus to describe Knight's disregard for his own body's well-being as he kept coming back at the max. Back and forth pin reversal fun times got the crowd all active cheering, ready for a perfectly shot, amazing Kevin Knight leap out of the ring with a flying forearm. on. Cheeky Max caught upside down in the corner tree of woe, setting up that mightily impressive coast to coast, with Max selling trying to escape the entire time, which set the hilarious slow hurt ref slow count spot. As Knight flew for the UFO, MJF kicked ref Bryce into the ropes and caused a delay to the count. As Knight was in the air, he did the kick. So I missed it the first time, and on the replays it was crystal clear. And then that count was counted so incredibly slow, comedically so. Like, you expect that Bryce Bamberg is going to do the, oh, I'm a hurt referee, I'm going to have to count this slowly. But he counts it so slowly. Second UFO splash met with knees, and Heat Seeker for the win. Max retained ahead of his Hangers Revolution defence. AEW are doing such a good job getting us behind Knight. Speaking of, Hangers out on the stage afterwards to stop a baddie stompy stomp on his tag mate. Speedball also gave the champion a good kick to send that message to, which will set us up for... Actually, I've got a note on Speedball when we do Collision. A great match to open the show. For me, a really good idea to give MJF these strong in-ring performances so that his title reign feels a bit different, because there's always those comparisons to The Miz because he was so good on the mic, and then there would suddenly be like a pay-per-view reminder that he's great in the ring. This time they're making sure to include a lot more title defences on television, so that vibe of, oh, he's just the guy who talks all the time who would now and then put on a good match. No, he's putting on good matches every month. I feel like that is integral to how this championship reign is going to feel, and doesn't make it feel too bad if he drops it to Hangers. Like, every logic part of my brain when I look at MJF's run says he's going to have to win. MJF has to win for his own title reign, which sucks for the Hangers stuff and all of that. But if I look at the AEW just trying to do things a little bit differently this year, then it screams that Hangers wins. And that's why my comparison to SmackDown 2000 comes along, because that belt changed hands in their different roads. They got multiple guys all on top. You drop the belt, you don't fall out of the picture or anything. You're just within that bubble of like 6 to 8 people. I think I'm more floating it as a possible WWF 2000. I'm not saying, like, because I've got those vibes. As soon as Hangman said that he put his title chances on the line, it's like, ugh, are you playing with the Cody thing, or are you purposely trying to redo it and prove to me that it could be good? It's like, I feel like long term it might not be good, but I am perfectly fine with you purposely using the emotions associated with the Cody Rhodes stipulation to get those emotions out of me. That's absolutely fine. I just don't think it's possible to have this not bite you out on the ass at some point in the future, and the future's quite a long time. On to the other notes. Renee backstage with Revolution opponents Bandido and Andrade asked what this match means to them. A dream come true for Bandido, and Andrade is like, oh, you're a nice fan. This just feels like I'm talking to a fan. Like, do you want a selfie, or like what do you want? This full dickhead mode. And I love this version of Andrade. Young Bucks and FTR had an officially conducted chit chat with Renee mediating. Honestly, this was the kind of back and forth I was afraid they'd do in an in-ring promo at some point, but at every turn they've avoided it. Instead, delivered in edited, more snappy fashion, just recapped what's happened so far and got amped till they were all standing shouting across the table. Brody King strolled on out unscheduled and grabbed a microphone, called out Swerve. Prince Nana answered and gave his man the big dangerous man introduction. The long intro to his entrance used as a disguise. He wasn't playing big time, instead waiting to jump, attacked Brody with his chain and gave him a wee choking over the top rope. And that's what got their match made official. And on to the rest of Dynamite. Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin versus Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors. The third and likely final addition to this The Dogs Act. Just immediately into a ringside brawl without entering the ring. Gabe on steel steps, Cassidy on the timekeeper's table. Nottingham fended off, but America came on charging with Connors running up those steps to spear. The match underway just in time for the ad break, with Darby eating all of the beating for it. The wee man got his fight back post break just in time to get that Cassidy hot tag. Every now and then that man can get hyped into genuinely fighting with it all, and turns out going through the timekeeper's table is one of those things that gets him going. Amped up into a fun flash tag in the goodie flow. Stundog set up a code red, which was lovely dovely indeed. Orange punched the Connors and the goodies won. When in the celebration, David Finlay just stepped in, dressed all smart, hit with his shillelagh, and the baddies all got to pose to his New Japan music. I honestly like that he's come over with his New Japan presentation. The dogs are slightly different. To be fair, by the time that the Bullet Club had died off, like, the David Finlay presentation wasn't what it was during the height of the Bullet Club. It already started to shift. Whilst this kind of brings it back to the vibe of the War Dogs had something there. For me, I thought that vibe was really, really strong. Just David Finlay saying he didn't want like good wrestlers or whatever. He wanted killers. He wanted people who could fight. And I really love that vibe for a faction. And I felt like David Finlay really found how to be the leader of that faction. So by the time he comes over to AEW, he's got the character figured out. So why not just give it a platform to actually like run in America? Because Americans haven't really seen it. A lot of people have stopped watching New Japan. It's not like it was with AEW starting and the other names coming over. They know the name David Finlay, but I would expect a lot of fans haven't seen him. And I personally really like the vibe. And the answer is yes, his coats are a massive part of it. Those coats are a massive part of that vibe. So you can get a lot of big coats. And those trio got a introduction match on Collision, so when we get to that, we'll talk about it. Speaking of tags, the Brawling Birds versus the Inspiration. A wee dance from the Aussies before calling for the music to play again for one more dance. But this ain't no place for that sports entertainment stick. So the English just jumped them and beat beat them up. This time that heart attack lariat was hit onto a downed Cassie as Excalibur called 2 birds, 1 stone. But yes, all their moves have to be bird related. All bird puns. I mean, if that's not a prompt given to Brennan Lee Mulligan wrestling team and all of their moves have to be bird puns, go. Just yes. Hangman Page versus, I've written Jobber Jim, I didn't get his name. MJF got a competitive defense. Hangers a flash excuse to get him out into the ring. Over in seconds, just straight lamped the fella and hit the buckshot in no time at all. Then grabbed the mic for the real reason he was out there. You know, just nice that this wasn't a straight up promo segment, it was something different. Warned Max that when it comes to Texas death, he always enters with no conscience. But you're a world champion, so surely that doesn't scare you. Freeman answered to insult El Paso and call up a Don Callis lad's jump. Trio's on the mind as Fletcher, Okada and Davies beat the Cowboy up. Jet speed with the save before Don Callis made the official challenge. Any place? Any time? Well, we've got a main event announcement halfway through the show. They've teased us seeing Hangers getting pinned during this build. Was this the time they fully gave us the visual? You have to wait and see because we'll go through the show in order. The AEW Continental Championship Eliminator John Moxley versus Hechicero. A Mox banger in the middle of the show. No surprise he had some good fun with the Mexican fireman. Back from the ad break with a fireman's carry, got countered inventively towards the apron, and next thing we know, Hechicero had been countered back and was falling on his front via a top rope drape cutter. The 10 minutes remain call rang for Hechicero to climb up high and get halted by Mox once again. Like a wee build getting to the fireman, really bringing the innovation later on to actually try and hit his moves. Right as the man was amping up, Mox just nailed a stiff lariat and sent him down. Honestly nice to see Mox flowing in this one like he's a champion for a reason or something. Crazy way to book a champion. As I said that, his arms got locked and Hechicero rolled him around in pin attempts. Running launching legs dodged and into the ropes. Stomp hit but received with middle fingers. Fuck you! Death Rider did it though. That all you got, Don Callis? As Excalibur hyped him up as fighting off challengers left and right. Konosuke Takeshita came out to stare him down from the ring as Mox walked through the crowd. Not amping into anything, just gave time to plug the match in the pay-per-view. We saved that for Collision, because the main event was Claudio Castagnoli versus Konosuke Takeshita. So we got our final little amping moment on the technically go-home Collision. And the AEW Women's Championship, Tekla versus Thunder Rosa. A little Teddy title defense for our cool Austrian Women's Champion. I think this paired with the promo she did on Collision, it's impossible to not love this woman. She's so good. She's so good at coming across so cool and so unique. She's so good at getting across that vibe like you do not want to mess with her. Like getting anywhere near her is a dangerous move. And then you hype up the people who feel brave enough to do it. It's a kind of champion that will really work, which is why I'll be a very sad man if she loses it at Revolution. I feel like this is the kind of thing that you can really build something here with Tekla. I know it doesn't have to be now, but I want it to be. And I'm a wrestling fan, so I'll throw a fit if I don't get this very specific thing. That's how it's done. Thunder Rosa in her home state. Here in AEW, there's an actual advantage via the support. Loved the wee forearm battle with both sat up in the corner. A more than grand excuse to let Tekla sit up and do her cool corner pose. Upside down to set up for the spear. Nailed it, but wanted to use the match to send a message. On top gave Rosa punches, but the stomp missed and the challenger got her run of offense when the champion could have just won. Even hitting her thunder driver for Tekla to survive through. No power driver though. A second spear set poor Rosa up for 2 stomps and the actual retention. A weakness to show off and do something extra when she could have just won, rather than actual any weak spot in her wrestling. It's her as a person, that's her weakness. It's not your wrestling style. Start on out was held off by security, allowed Tekla to hit a 3rd stomp on Rosa. Tommaso Ciampa. This is Tommaso Ciampa's week part 1. Came on out with his rock song, Fire, Pyro and Too Large Jacket. Renee asked him about Kyle Fletcher and the TNT Championship. Of all folk, FDR came on out and gave the man a hug. A late welcome wagon between former NXT rivals. You want to be a top guy? No better way than to pair yourself with top guys. Ciampa absolutely shot Dax down, bubbled up a little bit, but for whatever reason they established that they aren't friends. The good news is, don't have to wait that long to find out. So onto the AEW Trios Championship main event that was set up earlier. Jet Speed Rodeo versus Okada, Fletcher and Davies of the Don Callis family. Aussie Open properly back together again in a tag title match. These trio bouts are always good fun. AEW have really honed their party style. Ribs pain for Kevin Knight as a weakness to exploit, even with Hangers running riot with that same hype from his Flash jobber match earlier. Hell of a reaction for the lawn dart reversal into a reverse Rana between Bayley and Fletcher, executed amazingly. So swift, so perfect. Hangers on top to Moonsault. Davies avoided and we had a slobber lariat battle. Kevin Knight tagged in when MJF sprang in to interfere and cost the match. Already worn, Kevin was pinned for the 2nd match of the night. Jumping pile driver for the Mark Davies win, and the Don Callis family win themselves even more gold. They have everything. The TNT Championship, the International Championship, now the Trios Championships. He's got enough men to hold all of it. All the belts, all the boys. All the belts, all the men. That's how the Don Callis family should work. I was joking about it with Floyd on a recording we did with Sam. Just make the Don Callis family genuinely the most numerous. Keep building, keep going. They're in a good place right now. Unfortunately, they did bring in Doyle and then he got injured immediately, so technically that has been there. But Mark Davies came back and he's been featured properly well. But yes, a really fun main event and does kind of what I was expecting them to in terms of the setup before Revolution. Because I kept saying they've been been teasing us in this build, seeing Hangman lose, seeing him get pinned, and I thought that this was the match, this was it, this was the moment that we'd actually see it. There'd be some form of interference, just like there was. However, they had Kevin Knight set up to take the pin because he'd had a title match earlier in the show. So they'd already set up someone else taking the pin. But part of me thought, that could be a swerve. Because you're expecting it to be Kevin Knight because of the injury. What if they give us the visual of Hangman getting pinned? And that's how you can be like, well, what if that happens at the weekend? But that's too predictable. Because that note is like, well, you've already given us that visual. You're then going to use that to tease us giving the visual again, but then Hangman actually ends up winning. If you don't give us the visual, then there's no real teasing of anything that solid. You go in with a lot more loose expectations to actually work with when you get to the actual show. Because I'm on both fences for what would actually work best. For MJF's title reign, makes a lot of sense, but it doesn't make it. I don't really think I want to see it for the Hangman character, unless they've already mapped out the Hangman character for years to come off the back of this, so it's not going to be a problem. That's kind of my point, though. Long term, this is surely going to bite them in the ass at some point. Unless it's not that kind of reign. We are talking WWF in 2000, where they've got a load of main event guys that they can rotate, and they are all officially top guys. Not one or two, you got a whole rotation of people. In that world, yes, The Rock and Stone Cold were like the top guys, but you could maybe say Hangman and Swerve, are they like the top guys and everybody else can rotate round? But it's not quite the same, because you've got guys like Kenny Omega, MJF, who are huge deals. Andrade's almost like the workhorse kind of guy who's found his character again. I just like the fact they have got all these people they can rotate round. So it's not the worst thing in the world for me if Hangman does win, because that title picture stays the same. It's still the same people. MJF doesn't need to do this. He's got a program with Andrade whether he retains the title or not. That's already been set up. We can still do this. Anyway, that was Dynamite on a really good stretch at the moment, and obviously as I get closer towards Evolution, that hype is just feeding stronger and stronger. You can start to look back and see all of the good that has worked as they get to Evolution, and now the pay-per-view is going to benefit from it because a lot of the stuff they've been doing has been working. And in Collision, they took a gamble. They went to a place that hasn't had a live broadcast wrestling show in a decade, which is crazy. And looked like a good-sized crowd for it, even if they did what, and they lost a cool card by watting. But then afterwards, I found out that they have not had a live show broadcast in 10 years. So I was kind of like, do I give them the benefit of the doubt? Like if this show created lots of new AEW fans because so many in the crowd had never been to an AEW show, do I be so harsh on the what thing? Because that's bubbled up to be something I really don't like within the period they've not had a broadcast show. They've had house shows. They can watch wrestling on the telly. Yeah, don't let it up. Yeah, don't let them off the hook. Anyway, let's jump on over to Collision, which opened with the AEW Title Championships, FTR versus the Rascals.
Here he comes! Shatter Machine! Shatter Machine! It's over!
A lovely little Teddy tag title defense to kick off the show, as I'm reminded through the Rascals that there's multiple new acts right now that AEW has done right by. Cash got to do his big muscle pose to camera before the break, but the second half of this match had a grand string of fun Rascal spots, like Vince over the top rope doing a tornado, and just to set us alight. The crowd really awake after the double roll-ups got closer to those threes than we were expecting. That's a great note to play right before a proper Rascals flow. Dax took a galore of Vince chops, and that got everybody amped right back up again too. No fear, the baddies got their flow, but commentator was describing it as escaping through the skin of their teeth. An homage to the Young Bucks with a weak as fuck FTR trigger, taking the piss and going straight for a Meltzer driver, almost cost them with yet another close roll-up cradle. Vince went to handspring and flip. Dax just hoisted him up, and Shatter Machine for the win. A grand old time, and Mark Briscoe came on out to stare down the tag champions a little. The man set to be on commentary for the next match. And I'm going to do the other notes first. Oh, he's such a teaser. But yeah, a really fun tag. I liked how there was a chance of a curveball being thrown with the Rascals, and we have seen curveballs be thrown in other places like the TNT Championship, so it wouldn't be too far out of the realm. There is far too much being hyped up for FTR and the Young Bucks, but at least you could have that vibe whilst you're watching this match. Plus, it is a really good elevation for the Rascals, who are a new act for the AEW audience, and I feel like they have done a really good job of just establishing in the AEW world, like teaming them up with somebody else's story with the parking lot brawl, but we also got to see them just dance and do their big flippy stuff in multi-matches and whatever. The surprise win over FTR was a big deal for them as well, and this here just getting to showcase them. Like, round of applause all around. As much as I'm watching the actual Revolution title match being like, it's probably going to be a good match, but I've seen it so much I feel like I don't need another one. And I don't really think they've convinced me that this match is necessary. But the TV road to get there has been a much higher quality than I thought it was going to. Other notes. Hook backstage introduced a quick recruiting video thing, like he's a YouTube video blogger or Twitch streamer. Immediately, don't like these vibes. Awkwardly, Bowens was in to prove he's tough enough for the ops. Hook told him to take the camera from Shibata and film the two of them as As they went around backstage to talk about people who were standing there like NPCs, Hook locked in a red room on one poor chap. Like, yeah, the vibes are very much not here right now. Like, the most unnatural shit from start to finish. Genuinely felt like a WWE 2K game in like a not greatly rendered hallway, and you just got an NPC standing there waiting for you to interact with them, and Hook walked, interacted with them, like the entire thing. I didn't like how it was staged. Hook's delivery was like a Twitch streamer. The vibes immediately down. Like, this is upload it to TikTok, have coin sound effects and blah 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 just over the top of it. It's cartoon graphic bollocks overlaid, like, because this is nonsense. It's not good, especially if you're trying to get me to buy Hook as a dangerous leader of the ops. This didn't feel like that. That wasn't the vibe I got. I didn't get that vibe at all. The words I've used as Twitch streamer and YouTube blogger. Like, that's not the vibe of a scary person I should be scared by. Not at all. But also, like, the staging and blocking of it. I say he's like an NPC because the guy's literally just, like, he's on the phone or whatever, but he's just standing there waiting to be interacted with. He doesn't exist in this world. He is an asset just waiting for you to interact with him. But, hello, friend. Would you like something from the store today? It's that level of guy. That extent of his character. He is there to get red rooms. I'm not saying I need the guy's life, but I need an actual reason for him to exist in this random, desolate hallway. I need something. Anyway, Chris Statlander, all serious, sat in a stairwell. Rematch against Tekla at Revolution, 2 out of 3 falls. Right into Tekla being all awesome, saying, no, 9, absolutely not. That match suggestion. Since when does the challenger get to decide the match? Since when do I have to listen to some bitch from space? I said the word bitch, so a crowd that's not seen wrestling in a long time goes, oh. The fans held their cool card for a second, chanting toxic ass at Tekla, before immediately losing me for the rest of the night by chanting what for the rest of the promo. It was a great promo. The final note delivered, bending backwards over the top rope and delivered to a ringside camera. Everything you're afraid of is everything I am. In her voice, sounding far cooler than my slowly degrading knackered voice. Renee and Mox had a lovely date night walk. It was just a clip from the full YouTube video with Mox talking all confident about his Revolution defense. It was an official interview, Renee talking to type of thing, but the way it was shot and everything just felt like a lovely date night. Lexi Nair got to chin wag with Jet Speed. B-Ball will face Fletcher for the TNT Championship on Dynamite. Then they will team with Mystico for the trio titles at Revolution. In steps Swerve, direct in telling Kevin Knight why he didn't win. If you want to walk amongst killers, then you must become one. We got a video recapping Persephone's win in Mexico, taking back the CMLL Women's Championship. Ultimo not on TV, but she is out there busy losing all of her titles. And on to the rest of the show. As I said, it was Tommaso Ciampa Part 1. Now it's Tommaso Ciampa Part 2 versus Daniel Garcia. Briscoe on commentary, as I set up before the other notes, serving as a logical reason to have him and Ciampa both naturally out there for what happened next. 30 knee times for Garcia to zone in on. Crowd popped big for the Project Ciampa, which is the powerbomb into the double knees. There was a time in the early 2010s where every indie show, where they were just all full of insert here, onto the knees moves, and they all got big reactions. They reacted to like they were the coolest shit ever for a time, as was the style of the time. And Tommaso Ciampa was in Ring of Honor in that era, so he has a move onto the knees. And yes, at the time, I thought it was the coolest shit ever. Like, I'm not aside from this. No, I was in that bracket of people who thought, do a move onto the knees and it's the coolest thing. A lung blower, oh, coolest move ever. Fireman's carry lifts him down onto the knees, oh, that's the coolest move I've ever seen. Don't forget, in this period, only one man does a Canadian Destroyer, and his name's Pete Williams. Like, there aren't other people really doing that move. Garcia stepped to Briscoe's face and got the Delaware man all amped up, used it to flow a distraction, and he ended up scoring a flash pin on Ciampa. All angry and shoving after the match, Briscoe stepped out of the ring, telling Ciampa it was for his own good. When FTR came on down, a follow-up to their previous segment from Dynamite trying to recruit Ciampa. Ciampa was the one to instigate he and Briscoe out of the ring, getting them away from the tag champions, before, on the staging, flowed into a beat-for-beat redo of the Ciampa turn on Gargano, running the man's head into the Tron, angry strikes, and a naked knee running charge, like beat for beat, identical to the NXT heel turn. Wiped his arse with Briscoe's bandana. That was a new note, you can't do that in PG WWE, as Dax and Cash collapsed from the ring. Where part of me gets into your minds of, it was identical to the NXT turn. like paying homage to their history so strongly that is an identical turn. However, if this is a character idea and they need the AEW audience to have that note, because there will be members of the AEW audience who either weren't watching WWE or haven't watched NXT or have never done it, so do not have that association with the Ciampa character. So you give it them. you force it to them, be like, okay, now you also have this memory of Ciampa doing this motion. It's not tied with the same like emotional connection, because the tag team we had with Gargano was like the most over thing in NXT. Arguably, their rivalry was the most over thing in wrestling at the time. On American soil, like at the time, the biggest wrestling was New Japan. Like, they were the actual wrestling that was the biggest thing. But they're giving you the Ciampa character doing the same beats. They want the AEW audience to also have that association for whatever the plan is to come next. It could just be Ciampa as a baddie, and there's not much like depth to it. And I'm like, oh, I want to be better using these notes, so let's just make sure everybody's got the same ground to work on here. Plus, he's going to stay in the T2 title picture. He's already given us that speech that he wants to do that. He's just said it as a goodie on Wednesday, and now he can say it again as a baddie. It's still going to be that trio of Briscoe, Fletcher, and Ciampa. They're like a trio that are going for that title at the moment. So it's the same people in that feud. It's just the dynamic's a little bit changed, and if he does associate with FTR, then that makes the FTR act also feel a little bit different. Swerve Strickland versus Gravity. The already in the ring opponent was Bandito's brother, who's Brody King's friend, who Swerve will be facing next week at Revolution. Such an angry man, he's even beating up just tangentially linked men. Swerve stomp off the top wasn't followed up by a pin, instead to the corner and waited for the man with the ripped mask to groggy rise to his knees. House call, now he went for the pin, and afterwards just death stared down the camera as Nana hyped him up. Little notes like this are really important to building up a character like Swerve. Why I like jobber matches? If you just use them to get over a move set, sure, they can get a bit tiring a bit quick. But if it's like this, where it's so tied to what he as a character is projecting at the moment, I feel like this was a really well-used jobber match. It tells you Swerve's state of mind without him doing it in a promo. You know where he is entering into the Brody King match without him having to tell you, without him having to say a word. Like, sure, we've got a Dynamite to go. He might just tell us with his words, but I don't need him to. I'm all grand for him to have a brawl with Brody King. The 200k tag match. Roosh and Dralistico versus The Swirl versus Private Party versus the Outrunners. Dalton Castle joined in on commentary for the 4-team fun. An excuse to give the party lads a nice wee win without it feeling like a showcase match. A good laugh during the ad break when Roosh stepped to Dalton and he bravely positioned himself behind the chair safely. There's a chair between us. There's a chair between us. Like that's an actual thing that stops people beating him up. I mean, it did. It did stop Roosh from beating him up. But that's not a thing. The Los Facción de Igobernablads got to do plenty of their cool poses after hitting Dralistico cool moves and lucha impressives. The Outrunners just bubbled in the corner and got their one big heat flow, slammed everybody before pointing and posing. Superplex on Paul Blake of the Swirl to the outside onto all the men. The fun had time to flow into the feature presentation as Private Party danced with Lost Faction. Dralistico with a Hurricane Rana off the apron and a top rope flying lung blower. There's the lung blower. We got it. We got it on this show. A top rope flying lung blower. That's the code breaker knees. So what's the version when it's a fireman's carry then lift them onto the knees? In my head that was called a lung blower. You son of a bitch. Super kicked by the Swirl. Then their own piss take, son of a bitch, met by Private Party super kicks. The influence of the Bucks on full display as they entered a party, but there's a huge pop for Blake's step off the top into a destroyer. Worked as a teasing note for Private Party to nail an even better one soon later. A lovely looking flying Doomsday Cutter thing, a new finish of Private Party and their win. Lena Cross and Megan Bayne versus the Timeless Love Bombs. Blue Sky took the night off from being horny over Mark Davies to drool gaga over the tall women. A great showcase for Cross inside an actual competitive match. Collision did a great job this week in establishing new returned folk in a natural non-jobber showcasey way. Private Party got theirs in the tag match, and here Lena Cross got the same as well. They're just naturally integrated without it feeling like you're purposely just showcasing them. Megan Bayne looked as the powerhouse hoss as always, got to dive through the ropes and take out all three of the goodie team, including a self-sacrificing Luther, who had no good effect. I guess technically if there's three of you, does that soften the blow for the other two as well? Like, he didn't stop them from getting taken down. He just got taken down too. Mina got the hot tag post ad break flow, with the crowd chanting "We want Mina" through said ad break. They got what they wanted, but this isn't WWE, so soon after Megan Bayne was climbing high after having beaten them both back down. Lena Cross taking down three ladies at once, shouted Shivani after the Aussie was the tall powerbomb base of the corner Tower of Doom. Boo! Yay! Between Storm and Bayne, it's such a lovely setup for Cross to fly in with a big leg. Mina figure 4 flipped over by Cross, then back by Tony. A second lean interruption worked a surely just coincidental Marina Shafir run-in. Tony Storm off the apron for a cuddle under the ring. Mina all by herself got to take a jackhammer from the new tall lady. I pretty much just hit on all the notes about why I think this was a good match, but yeah, I thought this was a really good match. One little setup note before Tony Storm gets to announce the big match, which I'll talk about in a second. Megan Bayne gets to look awesome. Lena Cross gets to be established as also awesome. Just a success match all around. Before the main event, Tony Storm stumbled out with a mic, challenged Marina to a match at Revolution with everyone banned from ringside. Then she wants her AEW Women's Championship back. I like this. Like, we've got the intent for the match, and then we've got her intentions after the match as well. So what happens is Shafir just beats the shit out of her. Like, what happens then? Every time you see Shafir, you'll be thinking about Tony Storm because you had that title match coming that's taken away from you. So if Shafir goes for it instead and she becomes, there's little notes you can work with. Or, babyface just wins. Sometimes you don't need to think about it too far. The Dogs versus 3 unlucky men. We did get one straight up jobber beating this show. Honestly, the best act to do it with though. Getting the booking that Hook's Ops should be getting. Just put them in the ring and have them beat the shit out of some men. I don't need to see any of these recruiting vlogs. I don't need to see any of them. Just have him turn up with his new man. Just beat the shit out of people. That's all I care about for the Ops. Singled out one poor lad. This isn't a match, this is a mugging, said by commentary. The crowd really responded well well to this too. Another solid establishing for a new face, this time for David Finlay and his fur coat. You will be getting a lot of coats from David Finlay, don't you worry. And the main event, Claudio Castagnoli versus Konosuke Takeshita. The big boys, big main event bash, gave Takeshita a strong win in front of his Revolution opponent who was enjoying the grapples from the commentary desk. A revisit to one of this year's great C2 matches. The "This is awesome" chant fully deserved in what should be no surprise. The Blue Thunder Bomb in particular looked flipping amazing in this match. Castagnoli lost his cool and went to ringside, tossed chairs into the ring to distract the ref so he could title swing, but Hechicero yanked it off him, setting Claudio up for the big Takeshita tope. Strike exchange fun times in the ring, the crowd on their feet as the two both rolled through into an eventual Takeshita knee, raging fire for the win, and Mox stood up at the desk like, no, but then talked all confident shit afterwards. A wee ringside conversation was read as a jump opportunity by Hechicero and went off air with it all breaking down. We didn't amp up into it on Dynamite, but by the time we got to Collision, it's like, you know what, how about we have a misunderstanding lead into the bubbling as well? Just, it is on the edge, always threatening to bubble over, and when something could set it like neither man is really holding back from it, Takeshi was trying to be all respectful, being like, no, it's not needed, I don't need you to do this, Hechicero. But of course, Mox and Claudio are going to read it that way. But yeah, the closer we get to Revolution, the better and better I'm feeling about the build. There's not been many missteps really. I've not had much negative to really talk about. I think my one negative really is the ops, and it kind of stands out because the rest of the show I feel pretty positive about. So when there's an act that's not really working, I feel like it sticks out because so much is working. It's very close to that when everything is going right for you, there's nothing you can do wrong. And AEW are kind of in that place right now, so even though it's a negative, I'm not really focusing on it too much. Like, I don't really care. Like, I'm not finishing this review going, oh, that one act's rubbish, so the whole show's crap. Like, no, I'm really enjoying both shows at the moment, and it feels like Collision is doing really well. It did its best number against the WWE pay-per-view I don't know if it was ever, but it was a very high number. People are tuning into Collision, and this is all not including their streaming numbers and everything. So yes, another really strong week for AEW. The hype going into Revolution feels like it's been built really well, and the pay-per-view could be generally used to just confirm to us that we've got all these top guys, and then once we come out of Revolution, we're going to just have this line of people or in these top acts. And I think that's my biggest reason why it feels stupid to take Hangman out of it. I don't know what they've got planned immediately after. I think it might be a huge missed opportunity. Right when you've established like this run of guys who are going to be your top people for the rest of the year, to immediately remove one of them from the list, I think it's a bit of a waste. Obviously, I don't know what they've got planned for Hangers if he does lose. But me personally, I really like this dynamic of all of the guys. So I'm not talking about Hangman being a featured person who needs to be at the top. I'm talking about all of them. This top crop in AEW, it feels quite special in this moment. So just to have Hangers get removed from it would permanently as well, would just be like, oh, like you had something special there. And maybe the fact it's fleeting makes it special. The Hangers one night stand. It's just like the fact it was, his involvement in this top lot that it didn't last forever, maybe that's what makes it special. But at the moment I don't feel like that. At the moment I don't feel like that at all. Anyway, before I just get stuck on that on the metaphor, I'll be back this time next week to talk about Dynamite and Revolution. Although last time I didn't talk about Dynamite because I wanted to talk about the pay-per-view, which I think makes a little bit more sense. I do quite like to recap the week, but when it comes to a pay-per-view, I always want to dedicate a lot of time to the pay-per-view. So when I'm talking about the show, I rush through it to a point of, well, why am I even talking about it? Let's just go straight to the pay-per-view and have more time to talk about the pay-per-view. Also with my self-imposed 30-minute aim. Main problem, I put this thing on me. I'm the one who did the whole 30 minutes bit. That's all my fault. Actually, I think Young Boy said it in a chat at one point. It was so long ago, I can't remember. But anyway, I took it and ran with it. Made the 30 minutes thing a permanent thing. It's like, start of every show, I'm going to say a bit. I used to try and come up with a funny bit, but now it's just words. Because I've been doing it long enough. Anyway, I'll be back this time next week to talk about the pay-per-view at least. So with that, I say thank you for listening, liking, engaging in any form, any manner. Always appreciated, never taken for granted. How come I can remember that bit without having to write it down at all, but I can't remember simple plugs and things. As I said at the start of the show, please do read the article that has gone up on Social Suplex about the 50 best women's wrestlers, and go subscribe to Richard's new channel, Rich Latter Pro Wrestling, as he tries something new. So with that, I will see you this time next week. I bid you adieu. Ta-ra, ta-ra.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.